Picture this. It's July 5th, 1954. A nervous 19-year-old truck driver walks into a tiny recording studio in Memphis, clutching $4 in his sweaty palm. He's not there to become famous. He just wants to record a song for his mother's birthday. But in the next few hours, this shy kid with slicked back hair will accidentally create a sound so revolutionary, so earth-shattering, that it will split music history into two eras. Before Elvis and after Elvis. What happened in that little studio didn't just launch a career. It ignited a cultural revolution that's still burning today. This is the story of how $4 changed everything. Elvis Aaron Presley wasn't supposed to be a legend. Born in a two-room shotgun shack in Tupelo, Mississippi, he was the surviving twin. His brother Jesse died at birth, leaving Elvis to carry the dreams of two souls. His family was dirt poor, moving constantly, with Vernon Presley jumping between odd jobs and occasional trouble with the law. By 1954, the Presleys had scraped together enough money to rent a small apartment in Memphis. Elvis worked as a truck driver for Crown Electric Company, earning $35 a week. He was painfully shy, stammered when nervous, and got picked on at school for being different. His classmates mocked his long hair, his flashy clothes bought with his mother Gladys's savings, and his love for the black music that poured from Beale Street. But Elvis had a secret weapon, an obsession with sound. He'd spend hours listening to gospel at the Assembly of God Church, country music on the radio, and blues from the legendary musicians who performed just blocks from his home. While other teenagers were playing sports or chasing girls, Elvis was absorbing every musical influence Memphis had to offer, unknowingly preparing for a moment that would change history. His mother Gladys was his world, his confidence, his everything. When her birthday approached in 1954, Elvis knew exactly what he wanted to give her, a recording of his voice singing her favorite song. He'd heard about Sun Records, the small studio where local musicians could cut a demo for $4. For a truck driver making $35 a week, $4 was a significant expense. But for his beloved mother, Elvis was willing to spend his last dime. On that sweltering July afternoon, as Elvis walked towards 706 Union Avenue, he had no idea he was about to become the most famous person on earth. He was just a poor kid from Tupelo, hoping to make his mama smile. Sun Records wasn't much to look at from the outside, just a small storefront with a simple sign. But inside those walls, magic happened daily. Owner Sam Phillips had a vision that would reshape American culture. He believed that if he could find a white artist who could sing with the soul and passion of black musicians, he could break down the racial barriers that divided American music. Phillips had already worked with legends like B.B. King, Howlin' Wolf, and Ike Turner. But he was searching for something more, a bridge between worlds, a sound that could unite audiences across color lines in a deeply segregated South. He famously told his assistant, Marion Keisker, "If I could find a white man who had the Negro sound and the Negro feel, I could make $1 billion." When Elvis nervously entered the studio that July day, Marion Keisker was working the front desk. Phillips was out, but something about this polite, well-mannered teenager caught her attention. Elvis explained he wanted to record two songs, My Happiness and That's When Your Heartaches Begin. Both were ballads, safe choices that wouldn't offend anyone. But as Elvis began to sing, Keisker heard something extraordinary. This wasn't just another amateur trying to sound like his heroes. This was different. The boy's voice had a vulnerability, a rawness that made the hair on her arms stand up. She grabbed a piece of paper and scribbled notes. Good ballad singer. Hold. The session that day was unremarkable on the surface. Elvis recorded his two songs, paid his $4, and left with a scratchy acetate disc. But Marion Keisker filed away his information and made a mental note to tell Sam Phillips about the interesting young man who'd stopped by. Neither Elvis nor Kiesker could have predicted that this brief encounter was the first domino in a chain reaction that would topple the entire music industry. Almost a year passed before Elvis heard from Sun Records again. In June 1955, Marion Kiesker convinced Sam Phillips to call Elvis back to the studio. Phillips wanted to try him out on a ballad called Without You, thinking the young man might be right for the song. But when Elvis arrived and tried the number, it fell flat. Phillips was ready to send him home when he decided to pair Elvis with two local musicians, guitarist Scotty Moore and bass player Bill Black. The trio spent hours trying to find something that worked. Elvis was nervous, unsure of himself, and the session was going nowhere. The musicians were growing frustrated, and Phillips was beginning to think he'd made a mistake. During a break, as they sat around trying to figure out what to do next, Elvis picked up his guitar and started fooling. Around what happened next changed everything. Elvis began singing That's All Right, an old Arthur Crudup blues number, but he was singing it differently, faster, with a hiccup in his voice, mixing country with rhythm and blues in a way no one had ever heard before. Scotty Moore joined in with a different guitar style, and Bill Black started slapping his bass like a drum. Sam Phillips, who had been in the control room, came running out. "That's it," he shouted. "Do that again." They tried to recreate the magic, and while they couldn't capture exactly the same lightning-in-a-bottle moment, they managed to record something revolutionary. Phillips knew immediately he had discovered something unprecedented, a sound that was black and white, country and blues, sacred and secular, all at once. The recording was rough, imperfect, and unlike anything on the radio. But it had an energy, an authenticity that made it impossible to ignore. Phillips released it as a single, and within days, Memphis radio stations were flooded with calls asking, "Who is that singing? Is he black or white?" The answer would surprise everyone and change American culture forever. When DJ Dewey Phillips, no relation to Sam, played That's All Right on his red, hot and blue radio show on July 8, 1954, the phone lines exploded. The song was so different, so unexpected, that listeners couldn't categorize it. Was it country? Was it blues? Was it something entirely new? The answer was yes to all three. Within weeks, Elvis went from anonymous truck driver to local sensation. But this was just the beginning. The sound that emerged from that accidental moment in Sun Records would evolve into rock and roll, influencing everyone from the Beatles to Bob Dylan to Michael Jackson. More importantly, it began breaking down the racial barriers in American music, creating a shared cultural experience that transcended color lines. The shy teenager who walked into Sun Records had become a catalyst for social change. His music gave white teenagers permission to move their bodies, to express emotions, to rebel against the conservative 1950s culture. It gave black musicians a pathway to mainstream success. It created a youth culture that would define the next several decades. But perhaps most remarkably, it all started with $4 and a desire to make his mother happy. Elvis's success would eventually make him the best-selling solo music artist of all time, earn him the title King of Rock and Roll, and ensure his place as one of the most significant cultural figures of the 20th century. That July day in 1954 wasn't just the birth of a career, it was the birth of modern popular music. And it all began with a nervous young man who just wanted to record a song for his mama's birthday, proving that sometimes the most earth-shattering moments come from the simplest, most heartfelt intentions. From $4 to forever famous, Elvis's story proves that history can change in a single afternoon. That shy truck driver didn't just record a song. He recorded the future of music itself. What moment in music history fascinates you most? Share your thoughts below and hit that subscribe button for more incredible stories about the legends who shaped our world.